You're Shedeur Sanders, the son of Deion Primetime Sanders, aka NFL royalty, aka head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, aka the man who changed the culture of college football overnight with nothing more than sunglasses, swagger, and a camera crew. From the moment you stepped onto the field, the expectations were sky high. Legacy kid, quarterback, media trained, dripping in nil deals. Basically, born with a playbook in one hand and a camera crew in the other. But still, when you're entering the league, everyone expects you to follow the same path. You get drafted. You smile nice for the cameras. You sign whatever contract the team gives you because, hey, you're the rookie. You haven't earned leverage yet. Except, Shedeur didn't follow that script. Not even close. Because when he was offered a $2 million contract, he turned it down. Flat out. And not in a, maybe if you throw in some bonuses, kind of way. He said no thanks and kept it moving. Cue the gasps from the league offices.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Cue the sweat dripping from the brows of endorsement execs. Because this wasn't just a no to a contract, it was a no to the entire system. A system that's been running on the same rules since the dawn of televised football. And here comes Shedeur, quarterback and cultural disruptor, tossing that rulebook straight into the fire. Now let's be clear, this wasn't a tantrum. This wasn't ego. This was leverage. The kind most rookies never get to wield. Shedeur knows exactly what he brings to the table. Not just stats. Not just arm strength. He brings eyeballs. Influence. A whole brand. And that brand? It's already bigger than some starting NFL quarterbacks. Before even playing a single down in the league. That's the part that's freaking people out. Because traditionally rookies are treated like, well, rookies. They're expected to be grateful. To earn their spotlight. To accept whatever number is slapped in front of them. But Shedeur looked at a multi-million-dollar offer and said, actually I'll pass. Because he knows that $2 million today might cost him $20 million tomorrow. In equity, in independence, in control over his own image. Think about that. This is a man raised in the game. He's seen what it does to players who sign too early, who lock themselves into bad deals, who let their narrative get owned by someone else. He's not just trying to make money, he's trying to build something. A legacy. A blueprint. And the timing? Chef's kiss. This all comes as the NFL is already scrambling to adapt to the new athlete economy, where players don't just play, they influence. They vlog, they merchandise, they negotiate on their own terms. And Shedeur is walking into that world with more leverage than most 10-year veterans. Because here's the secret, he doesn't need the NFL. Not in the way they want him to. The old model was, get to the league, get your money, get your endorsements. But Shedeur? He already has the endorsements. Already has the money. Already has the hype. The NFL needs him, not the other way around. And nothing terrifies a billion-dollar industry more than losing control. Let's talk about control actually, because this whole thing is about narrative. For decades, the league has owned the athlete's story. From the draft to the retirement press conference, they controlled the arc. But Shedeur's flipping the script. Literally. He's choosing when, how, and on what terms his story gets told. And it's not just personal, it's cultural. For too long, black athletes have been boxed into stereotypes. Either you're the humble, hardworking type, who never causes trouble, or you're the cocky, selfish one, who needs to be put in check. Shedeur's not playing either role. He's playing the businessman, the strategist, the CEO of Me Incorporated. That's not arrogance, it's agency. And make no mistake, this move isn't happening in a vacuum. We're watching an entire shift happen across sports. Think LeBron opening his own media company. Naomi Osaka investing in businesses. Angel Reese making millions before even turning pro. Athletes are no longer just the face of the brand, they are the brand. So when Shedeur turned down $2 million, it wasn't a rejection. It was a statement. It was, I know my worth. It was, you're not going to buy me cheap. It was, I'm not here to be owned. I'm here to build. And oh, the NFL's reaction? Hilarious. Suddenly there's talk of character concerns. People whispering about distractions. The usual coded language they pull out when an athlete dares to think for themselves. But let's be honest, what they're really scared of is copycats. Because if Shedeur can do this, who's next? What happens when the next 5-star QB turns down a rookie deal because they're already pulling 7 figures from nil and YouTube merch? What happens when rookies start walking into negotiations with business managers instead of agents? That terrifies the system. Because the system was built on control, compliance, and underpayment. And Shedeur's refusal is the first domino to fall. Also, let's not ignore the optics. This is a young black quarterback standing in his power, backed by a father who's literally a football icon, a college coach, and a marketing genius all rolled into one. The Sanders family doesn't just play the game. They market the game, they own the narrative, and they've got millions of fans watching. It's no wonder brands are nervous. Because the second Shedeur says, "Nah, I'm good on that deal," it forces every other company to step up. Suddenly you can't lowball the next athlete. You can't just offer money, you have to offer value. Equity. Creative control. Something bigger. And in the long run, this might be what changes the NFL forever. A league where rookies actually have negotiating power. Where contracts get structured differently. Where athletes demand a seat at the table instead of just a jersey and a check. Will Shedeur pay a price for it in the short term? Maybe. He might slide in the draft. Teams might play hardball. The usual retaliation tactics. But long term? He's setting the standard. He's building something that can't be boxed in by a single team or a single season. He's playing for legacy, not just headlines. And honestly, that's way scarier to the NFL than any touchdown he's ever thrown. So yeah, Shedeur Sanders just turned down $2 million, and might have just rewritten the rookie playbook while he was at it. And you're watching it happen in real time. So what do we call this move? Let's hand out a fake award, shall we? The I Know My Worth trophy, awarded to Shedeur Sanders for treating NFL contracts the same way we treat free trials. Politely declining, knowing we'll still get the goods elsewhere. But seriously, this moment isn't just about football. It's about power and control, and refusing to play small just because the system says you should. It's about knowing your value, demanding better, and leaving the old playbook in the locker room where it belongs. So here's your mock moral of the story. If they offer you $2 million, ask yourself, is it payment or is it a price tag? Because Shedeur just reminded the world, the most dangerous player on the field is the one who knows he doesn't have to play your game. Hit the comments. Would you turn down $2 million? Or is Shedeur Sanders just built different? And don't forget to subscribe, because this saga? Oh, it's just getting started. The NFL front offices are sweating, college players are watching with notebooks out, and the sports marketing world is basically having a group panic attack. Because this wasn't just a personal decision, it was a loud, defiant announcement that the era of the compliant, cookie-cutter athlete is officially dead. Let's take a step back. The NFL has always relied on a kind of quiet obedience. You come in as a rookie, you're humble, you put your head down, you're just grateful to be here. You let your agent handle the deals. You do the interviews with just enough charisma to sell Gatorade, but not so much that you scare the sponsors. But Shedeur? He's blowing that whole model to bits. He's not playing by the NFL script, he's writing his own. And here's the real kicker. He has options. That's the part that's throwing everyone off. Because when you're Shedeur Sanders, you're not just betting on yourself, you're investing in yourself. And unlike most rookies, you're not desperate for that first paycheck. You're already good. You've already built a platform, a fan base, a brand. You're not entering the NFL to start your career, you're entering to expand your empire. And let's be honest, this is the first time the NFL has had to deal with this kind of athlete straight out of college. We've had stars, sure. But Shedeur is something else. He's media trained from birth. He's business savvy. And oh yeah, he's the son of Deion freaking Sanders. Which means, on top of his own moves, he's been learning from the master of sports branding his whole life. Deion didn't just play the game, he marketed it like a rock star. And now his son is taking that playbook, remixing it, and pushing it into an entirely new era. Shedeur isn't trying to be a quarterback who also does brand deals. He's trying to be a brand who happens to play quarterback. You see the difference? And again, that scares the hell out of the league. Because if this becomes the new normal, if athletes realize they can build million-dollar platforms before they even touch the pros, that rookie pay scale, that league control over image rights, those exclusive endorsement lock-ins, all of it starts to crumble. And while we're here, let's talk about the media spin. Oh, it's already started. Certain outlets, you know the ones, are tiptoeing into dangerous territory, questioning Shedeur's commitment to the game, saying he might be too focused on his brand. Classic coded language. Anytime a black athlete asserts control, suddenly it's a distraction. But please, if Shedeur was a Wall Street investor turning down a deal to wait for a better offer, they'd be calling him a visionary. This isn't a distraction. It's a strategy. One that's decades overdue. Because for far too long, black athletes in particular have been told to just be grateful. Take the deal. Smile. Don't make waves. Let the machine do its thing. But now, that machine is being dismantled in real time. And look, let's not pretend this is just about Shedeur. He's the spark, but the fire's already catching. This is a generational shift. We're in the post-Nil world. College athletes are now business entities. High school stars are signing media deals. The traditional pipeline from unknown to superstar has been replaced with already famous, now playing pro. So when Shedeur says no to a $2 million offer, it's not a loss. It's a reset. It's asking, what's the value of independence? What's the cost of giving up control of your own name, image, and brand? For what? A short-term payday from a team that might cut you in 2 seasons? Nah. Shedeur's thinking long-term. Ownership, equity, narrative control. The kinds of things the old guard never even thought to ask for. And here's the real twist. This move isn't anti-NFL. It's post-NFL. Shedeur isn't rejecting football. He's redefining what success within football looks like. Because let's be real, if you're already building an empire off the field, why would you rush into a deal that gives someone else the keys to your image, your merch, your story? And that's exactly what most rookie contracts do. They're not just about salary, they're about rights. Your likeness, your name, your voice. Once you sign, they own the narrative. But Shedeur? He's not signing away his legacy for a couple of zeros. He's betting that his real value isn't just in touchdowns, it's in attention. And in 2025, attention is currency. He knows that every interview, every Instagram post, every branded hoodie he drops, it's all part of a much bigger machine. And he wants to be the one driving it. Honestly, the playbook he's writing is one that future athletes will study. Not for the throwing mechanics, but for the business acumen. And don't be surprised when more players follow his lead. Because once you've seen the curtain pulled back, once you realize you can negotiate, delay, or walk away, you don't go back to playing it safe. This is the new athlete model. Part quarterback, part CEO, part cultural architect. And it's working. So what happens now? Well, we're probably going to see some fallout. Maybe a few GMs say they're concerned about distractions. Maybe some older analysts start ranting about the good old days of humble rookies and silent players. But guess what? Those days are gone. And in their place? A new generation of athletes who know they're not just players, they're platforms. They're influence engines. They're brands. And Shedeur is leading that charge. He's not chasing validation from the league. He's not begging for a seat at the table. He's building his own table and live streaming the process. The NFL can either adapt or get left behind. So, to wrap this drama in the bow it deserves, let's hit you with one more fake award. The Main Character Energy Lifetime Achievement Award. For Shedeur Sanders, who turned a simple thanks but no thanks into a full-blown movement and rewrote the rookie manual before his draft card even hit the table. This isn't about arrogance. It's about agency. It's not ego, it's evolution. Shedeur's move says, I'm not here to just be a star in your story. I'm the author of my own. And maybe that's the most revolutionary thing of all. Shedeur Sanders just looked a $2 million contract dead in the face and said, nah, I'm good. And the sports world? Still recovering from the collective jaw drop. Now let's get into what this really means moving forward, because the dominoes are falling, and the playbook Shedeur's tossing into the shredder? That thing was sacred. Until now. Let's talk about the NFL's dirty little secret. For all its glitz, for all its Super Bowl halftime shows and flashy commercials, the league runs on a very old-school mentality. Control first, talent second. It's not just about whether you can play, it's about whether you'll fall in line. You can be the most talented guy on the roster, but if you don't follow the program? If you start asking too many questions or God forbid you bring a camera crew to training camp, suddenly you're a distraction. You're difficult. You're not focused on the game. Translation? You're not letting the system profit from you on their terms. And that's exactly why Shedeur's rejection hit like a punch to the league's ego. He's not just negotiating a deal, he's disrupting an entire structure. One built on quiet compliance, on rookies being seen but not heard, on young black athletes signing whatever paper is slid across the table because they're told that's just how it works. Well, not anymore. Because what Shedeur's doing isn't just revolutionary, it's dangerous. Not to him but to them. To the executives, to the agents, to the media gatekeepers who've built their careers on managing other people's talent like inventory. And now, that inventory is talking back. With leverage, Shedeur's not just asking for more money. He's asking for respect, for control, for the ability to be seen not as a product but as a partner. And that's a word the NFL doesn't like to hear, partner. Because that implies equality. That implies negotiation. But here's the twist. The NFL still needs talent. The game doesn't play itself. And the more athletes like Shedeur start realizing they can walk into negotiations with a platform with millions of followers, with entire fan bases already built, they're not desperate for validation. They're already brands before they ever wear a jersey. So now the NFL has a choice: adapt to this new reality, or get left behind while players go independent. And before you say, well, the league is too big to fail, ask yourself this: how many people do you know who watch football for the owners? For the GMs? For the system? Exactly. You watch for the players. You follow the stories, the drama, the personalities. That's what sells jerseys. That's what fills stadiums. And Shedeur Sanders? He is the story. He's got the pedigree, the swagger, the viral moments, the sound bites. He's camera-ready, quote-worthy, and already has more name recognition than half the league's QB room. And he hasn't played a single professional snap yet. That's not hype. That's leverage. And it's leverage built, not handed. Because unlike the traditional pipeline, Shedeur didn't get here by staying quiet and waiting for his moment. He created the moment. Every interview, every game day fit, every mic'd-up practice clip, it was all intentional. It's what we'd call a controlled detonation in media terms. You don't just go viral by accident anymore. This is strategic storytelling. And Shedeur? He's the director, producer, and star of the whole thing. And let's not pretend this is all just optics. The kid can play. He's not some influencer masquerading as an athlete. He's putting up real numbers, making real plays, winning real games. But he's also doing something most athletes have never been allowed to do. He's choosing his moment. Choosing how and when to enter the league. Choosing who he wants to represent him. Choosing which contracts make sense for his long-term vision, not just which ones make him money fast. That's not arrogance. That's ownership. And ownership is the new ambition. We're not just in the age of get the bag. We're in the era of own the bag factory. Build your brand. Control your image. License your likeness instead of selling it. And maybe even, just maybe, create your own platform that makes the league irrelevant if it doesn't play ball. Think about it. What happens when athletes no longer need the league to stay relevant? What happens when Shedeur, or someone like him, decides to launch his own podcast, his own apparel line, his own media studio, and connects directly with fans, sponsors, and brands without any middleman? What happens when a player doesn't need the team's approval to go viral? Or when they don't need ESPN to tell their story because they have 3 million YouTube subscribers who hear it from them first? That's not fantasy. That's the blueprint. And Shedeur is living it. The NFL knows this. They see it coming. That's why they're scrambling to repackage their image as player first. Why they're launching content houses, social media campaigns, influencer partnerships. Because they see the tide turning, and they're desperately trying to paddle upstream before the whole current flips. But it's already flipping. And here's the most poetic part. Shedeur's doing all this with a smile. He's not fighting. He's not throwing shade. He's just saying no to what doesn't serve him. And in a world that expects young athletes to just be grateful and quiet, that alone is an act of rebellion. He's not yelling. He's not making threats. He's just calmly, confidently, declining the offer. And yet the impact? Seismic. Because if this becomes the new normal, if top-tier college athletes start turning down lowball offers, start demanding creative control, start entering the league on their own terms, everything changes. The contracts, the endorsements, the power dynamics. It won't be "you're lucky to be here." It'll be "you're lucky we chose you." And that is terrifying to the people who've built entire careers on gatekeeping. So yes, Shedeur's decision might seem like a single moment. But it's not. It's a signal. A warning shot. A spark. And once the fire starts, good luck putting it out. Because this isn't just about Shedeur. It's about every athlete watching this unfold and thinking, wait, I don't have to take the first offer. It's about every college star realizing that they can be a brand and a baller. That they can be a businessman before they ever sign a pro contract. That they can own their name instead of watching it get trademarked by a team they haven't even met yet. This is about shifting the power. About rewriting the rules. About finally asking, who actually benefits from the way things have always been? And then doing something radical. Not playing along. So if you're still wondering why Shedeur Sanders turned down that $2 million offer, here's your answer. Because he's not playing their game. He's building his own. And honestly, that's the real flex. So let's close this thing out the only way that makes sense. With one last imaginary trophy to put on the shelf next to all the nil deals and highlight reels. The League Shaker of the Year award, For Shedeur Sanders, who politely declined $2 million, disrupted a billion-dollar system, and still made it home in time to shoot content for the next episode of his media series. Game on. And hey, if you made it this far, you already know the drill. Smash that subscribe button, tell us in the comments. Would you have turned down the money? Or is Shedeur playing a whole new sport altogether? Either way, this story, it's not over. It's just getting interesting.